Hi everyone, the possible fear of the 8 function. I focus on the function and not on the psychological type because I notice the fears can manifest when we use too much, focus too much on our first function, when we miss information of our function 4, or when we hold on to it to focus on this function 4 and not enough focus on neglect the first function, and when we are unaware of, totally ignore our function 7, not using it or using it too much because we may have difficulty to know how to manage this energy, unaware, not knowing if we use it too much or not enough. We all can have all these fears because we all have the 8 cognitive function consciousness, we use them all. Fears are generally when we miss, have a lack of information, less knowledge, less awareness, less consciousness in certain areas when we don't know. FE, extroverted feeling, fear of not being happy, uncomfortable, of having no pleasure, fear of not being emotionally validated or comforted, fear of not pleasing to everyone or that others don't like them, reject them, of being alone, of abandonment, that people don't accept, don't want or don't need them, fear of not having friends or loved ones, of not being integrated in a group, of people breaking the group harmony or their relationship, of people hurting them, doing bad things to them, fear being in a dangerous place, not harmonious environment, surrounded by bad people, fear that others don't like what they offer, FI, introverted feeling, fear of not being authentic, aligned with themselves, with their own values, fear of not being left alone, of people disturbing their peace, fear of an intrusion by people, of a violation of their privacy, fear that others know their vulnerabilities, weaknesses, reveal their secrets, of others not being loyal, not receptive, not listening, fear of being like everyone, ordinary, common, of not being accepted as they are, for their uniqueness, individuality, that others don't let them be themselves and try to shape them into someone they are not, fear that things don't correspond to them, to what they like, fear of not being a good person, of being good at nothing, to not having a passion, fear that a job don't correspond to their passion, TE, extroverted thinking, fear of being incompetent, not skilled, not capable, fear of inefficiency, fear of being jobless or without money, of not succeeding, of doing a bad job, fear of not achieving something, of not doing enough, of not being able to build or repair something, to solve a problem, to overcome a situation, fear that the thing or system don't work, that the work and things they provide don't help others, of being useless, fear that others do nothing, don't react, don't take action, don't do their job, fear of being surrounded by incompetent, fear that others think they are incompetent, destroy their work or prevent them to do something, fear that things don't work, are not operational, fear of having nothing to do, of boredom, of themselves not being operational, fear of losing their time and money. TI, introverted thinking, fear of being stupid, illogic, of being wrong, incorrect, to make mistake, of not doing things correctly, fear of logical inconsistencies, fear that others find them stupid, fear of depending on others to survive, of not being left alone at peace, that others need them, fear that things are not solid and break, to have incorrect data, that something doesn't work, fear of taking the wrong decision, of doing the wrong thing, or that others criticize what they do, fear of not being taken seriously, that others don't trust them, fear of others doing mistakes, sabotage their work, and give them wrong information, are incorrect, lie to them, are dishonest, fear of unfair situation, of losing money, of making errors with numbers, NE, extroverted intuition, fear of not having enough idea, knowledge, insight, fear of not knowing everything, of not exploring enough, fear of having no imagination, no dream, no distraction, fear of being in a random, weird, nonsense situation, not knowing what's going on, fear of the intention of other minds, that people hide something, try to manipulate them, fear of having no choice, of being restricted, not free, of being limited, of rules, of boundaries, of imposed limits, fear of repetition, of doing the exact same thing the same way, fear of being stuck in one place, jobs or project, fear of being trapped, of boredom, of being ordinary like everyone, not original, not different, fear of not having enough options, possibilities, opportunities, idea or project. NI, introverted intuition, fear others know their plan, project, what they have in mind, their mental health, fear others deviate them from their goal, path or mission, put obstacle, try to stop their progression, to accomplish their goal or mission, fear of being in situation, place, where there is too much noise, light, movement, of being overwhelmed by sensory detail, fear of not being at peace or left at peace, in a calm place or overwhelmed by their own mind, fear of being bothered by people because they talk, make noise, move, fear of people's intention that they hide something, are dishonest, lie, are manipulative, fear of people having bad behavior, are disrespectful when they are not themselves, in their shadow side, or have mental issues, unresolved traumas, fear of being betrayed, fear of being at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people, that the worst case scenario happen, fear of not knowing what will happen next, the future or the end goal, the why of the unknown, fear of not understanding, of not seeing the concept, to have no patterns, fear of not being able to organize ideas, abstract all information, of making the wrong conclusion, monition and premonition, fear of not being able to take care of their mental needs and mental health, fear of having mental issues, fear of having no goal, no objective, no idea, fear of not being understood, fear of creating problems, or that others create them problems, or that problems will never be solved. SE, extroverted sensing, fear of not having material thing, possession, such as clothes, makeup, bag, shoes, vehicle, food, fear of not having enough sensory information, detail, color, texture, flavor, smell, fear of not having enough sensorial, physical experiences, thrill, parties, video games, music, fear of missing out, new potential experiences, opportunities, fear of having bad physical appearance, fear of having physical experiences, afraid to touch certain texture, fear of not being seen, noticed, of being ignored, left alone, fear of being deprived of their five senses, fear of having physical issues or physical illness, fear of what doesn't exist physically, materially, of taking spiritual experiences, SI, introverted sensing, fear of having physical issues, illness, of being scattered, disorganized, unfocused, fear of not having routine, schedule, plan, fear of messy, not clean environment, fear of intrusion in their home or workplace, fear of something not habitual, random happens, afraid of losing their home, vehicle, family, to not have enough food, clothes, to not have physical support, that something happened to their physical possession and family, of being separated from them, fear of not being able to take care of all the physical needs of their physical health, fear of being without physical needs, home, vehicle, medicine, fear to have illnesses, of not being healed, of having an accident, fear of not meeting the expectation, norms, of breaking the rules, fear of being different, to not fit society, fear of what is different, original, not common, fear that something unexpected, not planned, new or random, chaotic happens. For the sensing function, fear others judge their home or body or material possession, fear of no experience, of not being presentable physically, aesthetically, fear others harm them physically, destroy their possession, house, vehicle, object, fear of losing their body, material object. For the intuition function, fear others criticize or invalidate their ideas, insight, perception, fear of being misunderstood, of having bad behavior, fear others hurt them psychically, mentally, destroy their dream, what is meaningful to them, fear of losing their mind and existential thing. For the thinking function, fear others think they are incompetent or wrong, fear of not being practical, efficient, operational, competent, of being wrong, fear others destroy their work, what they have built, construct or created, fear of losing money, things or tool. For the feeling function, fear others think they are bad person, invalidate them, fear of not being beautiful, valued, good, fear others make them feel bad, destroy what they like, fear of losing a person or something they value. For the introvert, fear of not having time for themselves, of being surrounded by a lot of people, fear of having too much information. For the extroverted, fear of not having time for others, of being alone, fear of not having enough information. The dominant function fears their opposite, the function 4, the inferior. For the IJ-DOM, FI and TI, fear of their extroverted judging function, that others judge their decision or decide for them. For the EJ-DOM, FE and TE, fear of their introverted judging function, to make decisions by themselves. For the IP-DOM, NI and SI, fear of their extroverted perceiving function, that the perception of other people contradict their own. For the EP-DOM, NE and SE, fear of their introverted perceiving function, that their own perception contradicts that of others. For the IJ type, fear of losing control and to have too many choices, options. For the EP type, fear of not having enough choice. For the IP type, fear others as something to them, need them. For the EJ type, fear to think by themselves, to take decisions according to themselves. Everyone, every type, may have fear of not doing enough, their first two functions, and fear of doing too much, their lower function, and also the reverse, because we are living paradoxes. Knowing your fears is useful, but overcome them is better, to be more at peace with yourself and the world. To overcome a fear you can confront, go into that fear, experience the specific situation which happens or not, reveals to be right or wrong, and realize that it is okay, there were no reason to be afraid. Fears may be the result of past bad experiences, but we can heal them. If you want to overcome your fears, you can reconnect to yourself, to your individuality with meditation and or listening to the frequencies, music in the description. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video.